So what do you think? There'll be a few people here today, or you're
Small
gonna?
group of public. I hope your summer is going well. I'll call the meeting to order now. Oh, sorry. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cooney? Here. Dr. Corlino?
Here.
Mr. Grau?
Present.
Dr. Kane?
Here.
Mr. Modrak?
Here.
Mr. Morella? Ms. Novi?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim, please read the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law Statement.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education approved this meeting date. Notice of the meeting has been posted at the municipal building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, and Montville Public School website, and advertised in the Daily Record.
Thank you, Jim. We don't have high school student representatives in the summer, but we'll have some new ones in the fall. They're always a welcome addition to the board. We'll move to the superintendent's report. Dr. Freed it has a vacation day today, so Dr. Casey Shorter will lead tonight's meeting. Casey?
Good evening and thank you. I guess mid-80s mid-July day isn't a very attractive place to be at a board meeting, but thank you for attending. We appreciate it. Just one thing to mention in the superintendent remarks. We, as a district, were selected to participate in the 2015 National Assessment of Educational Progress testing. That's the NAEP, very often known as the NAEP test. It's unfortunate the timing of that comes on the beginning of the PARC assessment, as well as for our NJ Ask students. The NAEP is a test that's going to be administered in February. It's a test required of districts that are accepting Title I funds, which we are, for students to participate in this. Lazar 8th grade was a selected grade level, selected sample in our district schools. They'll be taking the paper and pencil test on February 19th, 2015. It's a couple of weeks before the open window for the PARC assessment, so there's some time between tests. The test is about a 90-minute test. It's going to be in the areas of math, language arts, and/or science, depending. It's something that the district doesn't have to get heavily involved in, except for providing our students, obviously, to be tested. But the Department of Ed actually sends in a team of test administrators to come in and work with our school test coordinator, which at the middle school would be Terry Haight, one of our vice principals, to administer this test. And it's not such an unfamiliar test because the high school actually 2 years ago, the 12th graders participated in the NAEP also. So parents will be notified in subsequent months of the upcoming test for Lazar 8th graders. So we were selected to do that. It is a random sample across the country, and we were lucky enough to get selected to participate this year. So more information will be forthcoming to parents as we receive it from the state. And that's all the remarks for this evening. You want to move on to the presentation?
Yes, thank you.
The HIB district self-assessment. As part of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, all districts must have their individual school safety teams, which each one of our schools have, conduct a self-assessment of their performance, that school's performance, against the requirements of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. The district self-assessment has to be summarized to the public, which we're going to do tonight, and comments can be made by the public, and we welcome that. And once that the report is summarized, then the Board of Ed has the duty to approve that. Once it's approved, this district will submit it to the New Jersey Department of Education, and at that point, the department or the commissioner will issue a grade for the district on their overall performance. From what we experienced last year, that grade is very heavily weighted towards what the district assesses itself through that self-assessment of a performance against the Bill of Rights Act. Once we get that grade, the district does have a requirement to post it on the website within 10 days, which we went through last year, and as a matter of fact, each school still has the HIB grades posted on the website, and the district also has it posted on the website for the community to see. And once those grades are issued, which I believe last year was right around mid-year, those grades were presented at a board meeting by the superintendent, and a review of the grades were discussed, amongst the community and the board. So we're going through that same process this year, and as part of that statute, I am required to provide a summary report of how we did based on our self-assessment within the district. So the summary report discusses 8 core elements that are associated with the Bill of Rights Act. And I'm going to give the district average for each one of these categories. The first core element the state deems as HIB programs or approaches that the district schools are participating in. And the district average in that core category, which is a max of 15, the district scored out 13.3, which is pretty consistent to what we've done in the past. For core element 2, which is training, the district's success in training teachers and other staff on the Board of Ed HIB policy, there's a maximum of 9 that the district can achieve. The district average for that through the self-assessment was an 8 out of 9. For element 3, again, points to training other staff members such as paras, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, etc., volunteers, how the district and how the schools, assess their progress in that area. The district scored a 14 out of 15 for core element 3. For core element 4, deals with curriculum and instruction on HIB-related information. What that basically pertains to is the amount of HIB, harassment, intimidation, bullying instruction that's contained within the curriculum. We feel pretty strong in that area. The max was a 6, and we scored out as a 6 as a district average for all 7 schools. Core element 5 would be HIB personnel. That max score is a 9. The district scored an 8.5 out of 9 based on that self-assessment. Core element 6, and these 3 elements that I'm about to discuss, 6, 7, and 8, all pertain to the HIB reporting and HIB procedures. So for core element 6, which is incident reporting procedure, we scored a perfect 6 out of 6 based on the self-assessment. We feel like our reporting procedure is strong and exceeds the requirement. Core element 7, the HIB investigative procedure, again, we scored the max, 12 out of 12 on that. And then finally, core element 8, which is HIB reporting, we scored a max 6 out of 6 in that area. Totaling up those 8 core elements, the school grades could be a max of a 78. The school scored various scores related to that 78, but on average, the district scored a 74.5 out of 78 on its self-assessment of harassment, intimidation, and bullying reporting. So what's all this data mean, and how do we compare it to last year? There are a couple of conclusions that we drew, some similar to last year. Core element 1, which is the HIB approaches or initiatives, that's an area that the district's going to be taking a close look at, particularly at the high school. I know our Director of Guidance, Leslie Scheckman's been heavily involved in looking to really bolster those programs related to HIB. We definitely have to assess more closely our HIB prevention programs, particularly at the high school, and have the schools create a more school-wide, improved conditions to prevent and address HIB. So that's an area that we're going to focus on this year. Also, training always seems to be an area that can always be improved. It almost seems like we never do enough training or train enough people in this area because it is an ongoing type of thing. So core elements 2 and 3 on the training of staff, like I mentioned before, not only just teachers, but everyone outside of that, the staffing of teachers, which would include bus drivers, volunteers, like I said, lunch workers. They all need to be trained as per the law also, so that's an area that we really want to tighten up on and do a little bit better job. And then finally, HIB personnel, which we scored pretty well in. However, pertaining to the self-assessment of the school safety teams, they all did meet the required 2 times during the year, but we really want to go beyond that and really have those school safety teams meet more frequently to discuss ways to improve the programs and the training. So that's one of the areas that we've also identified to improve upon. So that's our summary report, some of the things that we're looking to do to improve it. Now it'll go down to the State Department of Education, where they'll issue us a grade. They can come back to the district and ask us for documentation to support our scores, which if they do, then that's something we're very capable of providing. But at this point, it just requires public comment and board questions, and then we move towards approval.
Anyone on the board have any questions for Dr. Shorter? Mike?
Is it on?
Yes.
Just for clarification, I wanted to ask Dr. Shorter, during those times, you said twice a year, the teams from the various schools meet together. Was that correct?
Well, yeah, just each individual school will meet, their team will meet. The district's 7 schools don't meet collectively.
Oh, okay, well, so the question I want to ask then is, do they, how do they get on the same page on how to score themselves? In other words, the methodology and criteria should be somewhat uniform across the district, so one school is not being too severe on themselves and one is not being too lax. And just wondering how that is addressed.
Yeah, correct. The state actually gives indicators for schools to look at, and we're all following the same indicators. So the state does provide documentation, and that's coordinated by Leslie Scheckman, our Director of Guidance. She's the district HIB coordinator. So she works with each school safety team. She goes over and discusses each one of the indicators that the state requires that they engage in a self-assessment on. So they're all using the same indicators and measures, but with any self-assessment, it's based on how they feel they've scored in those areas. But also the state says to justify the score, you need to provide the following documentation. So Leslie Scheckman works with the school safety teams to ensure that if we're going to give ourselves a 6 out of 6, then we have to have the documentation that the state requires to support that and back that up. So in working with each school, the scores are determined based on how we can support that score through documentation and paperwork. So it's consistent indicators across the district. They may have some different paperwork to support it, but it's all based off the consistent measure for each school.
Okay, so it's a result of those meetings with the coordinator, not that those teams met together at any one point.
Correct.
Is there any plan to have those teams meet?
Yeah, there isn't right now, but that's something definitely worth considering. Logistically, it's difficult because they're pretty large teams, and would probably have to happen, perhaps during the school day. But it is something I think that's worth looking at.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Does anyone from the public want to comment or have any questions? Okay. Then thank you, Dr. Shorter.
Can I just say, Dr. Shorter, that this is the first meeting that you've led, and I think you did an admirable job with that presentation.
Second.
Second, sorry.
The first one was forgettable, probably.
That's how we
The
want
night
it.
is young.
That's how we want it.
It's not over yet.
That's right.
We'll evaluate them on the next one, Matt.
Okay, business administrator report.
Thank you, Dr. Corleone. Just want to take a few moments to brief the public and the board on some of the results that we've had in recently on EMF readings that we've been taking in the district since the power lines have gone up behind the Lazar School. EMF stands for electromagnetic field. We took a number of measurements in response to the new PSEG power lines that went in last April. I'm going to read a summary that's was prepared by the superintendent, and it's about a page long. I'm just going to read this. I'm not going to go through the report findings in detail, but we are going to post those detailed reports to our district website. Probably by the end of tomorrow. I want to see us get a link up on our homepage, for the public to go and look at those. Electromagnetic fields, or EMF, is a physical field produced by electrically charged objects. Our school district, as well as members of the Montville Township community, has been concerned about the recent upgrading of the Susquehanna-Roseland transmission lines. In particular, we are concerned about the particular stretch of lines which runs through the easement behind Lazar Middle School. In December of 2013, prior to the new PSE&G transmission lines becoming active, the district hired an independent contractor, Charles Simmons, to take an EMF measurements in a variety of locations, both inside and outside of Lazar Middle School. The inside measurements in a variety of, were generally taken in the rooms that are closest to the power lines. EMF measurements were also taken in March after the 230 kilovolt side of the transmission lines became active, and then in May after the 500 kilovolt lines became active. We also took measurements one more time in June, but only outside the building. More than 100 readings were taken each time. In May, for comparison purposes only, the district also took measurements at the Woodmont School and over at the high school. The measurements at Lazar Middle School revealed the following. One, that inside the Lazar Middle School, the readings either stayed the same or increased insignificantly. In all rooms occupied by children, the readings, recorded in a term known as milligauss, remained under 2.0, which is well within acceptable limits. Outside the Lazar School, increases which varied from slight to large were recorded. The largest increases occurred in areas directly under or almost under the power lines. Outside areas, closer to the school, generally had much smaller increases. The June data for outside areas fluctuates from the May data a bit. Some readings have increased while some readings have decreased. In summary, we're pleased that the data did not reveal any cause for concern pertaining to the inside of Lazar Middle School. The district had previously closed the fields behind the middle school, and the administration recommends that the fields remain closed until further notice. The administration recommends that another set of data be collected at a date to be determined in the near future. We know that many factors besides the transmission lines can have an effect on EMF. These factors include lighting, the placement of television sets, and other electronic devices. In the few instances where the indoor measurements have approached the 2.0 milligauss, the district is investigating that cause. So in other words, we'll go in and we'll take a look at that classroom and see if it has a microwave, refrigerator, some other electronic device. So in summary, again, we're looking to take another set of readings sometime in the coming months. And again, the detailed reports will be posted to the district website.
So all the reports that we've taken to date, May, June, December, whenever those will all be posted?
That's correct, including the ones taken at the Woodmont School and Montville Township High School.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from board members?
I like
Any,
the idea of having another round of tests.
another round? Any questions from the public? Okay, and as Jim said, we're going to repeat this statement report sometime in the fall when everyone's back in town, and all of the data will be posted to the website. All the actual data will be reported, posted to the website. Okay. Are there any committee reports for tonight? Mike?
Policy, we have not met formally since the last meeting. Due to the fact that by, I think, September 1st, we need to have in place policies having to do with electronic communications between teaching staff members and students.
Mike's not working.
It's not?
No, but-
Just
Yeah,
on
no,
the
it's
post,
okay.
right?
We did, informally share thoughts with regard to this particular policy, which is on for first reading, and, well, we didn't meet formally. And I believe that's to be approved by September 1st, Casey?
Right.
Okay.
Any questions for Mike regarding policy or policies that are on the agenda for tonight? Are there any other committee reports? Delegate liaison reports? I'm just going to report that Paul and I were invited to participate in a panel discussion on effective board CSA relations at workshop. We were invited by New Jersey school boards. They sent us an email and invited us to participate. That's going to be October 29th from 9:30 to 10:30 down at workshop. And tomorrow and Friday, a group of board members from our district, from other districts, as well as our very dedicated parents, will be meeting with Senator O'Toole and Senator Tom Kane Jr. on the topic of the superintendent's salary cap. And we're meeting to urge him to continue to press forward with the effort to eliminate the cap. Any other reports?
Karen, I just wanted to say, I'm sure I don't stand alone. I applaud the effort to meet with our various legislators. It's a very important issue. It could well affect the future of our district too. And I wish that I could be available for that, but my daytime job takes over. But I look forward to being involved and hope that members of the community and other board members can go to meet with these two legislators and others as well. Thank you for spearheading this effort, Karen.
We have a very dedicated cadre of parents who have been at several of these meetings. And I'll point Terry out right now, Mohdi, who has been at several meetings with us and plans to attend tomorrow and Friday. I think Mike's coming on Friday and a few other folks. So we probably have 7 people for each meeting, tomorrow and then Friday. So it's a good group.
Karen,
Yes, Charlie?
I think it's important that it's just not the superintendent here in Montville. This affects a lot of superintendents that are doing outstanding jobs like our superintendents.
Yep.
And it would affect them in the same way.
Mhm.
And I've
That's a
worked
very
with
good
several
point,
of them
Charlie.
in an interim role. And I know it's not, we hear about Montville, but I know we're trying to do it for everybody.
Mhm.
And that's the key, I think.
And there was a report that was written that talked about the amount of superintendents that have left this state because of this really punitive cap, and also superintendents that have retired as well. There's been tremendous turnover in this state, and it's unfortunate for the leadership, as you said, Charlie, all across the state, and the potential ramifications in district as well.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Mike?
I'll just add one thing. The